83-year-old Taree resident Daisy Irwin has been in pain for months. She desperately needs a knee replacement, but has been told, like thousands of other people requiring elective surgery, that she'll have to wait.
Well, it gets you down. I've aged 10 years this last 9 months or so with the pain and agony that I've gone through.
Daisy has been in line for an operation at Maitland Hospital for about 6 months.
And there's still not any date set yet.
The latest Health Department figures show the waiting list for surgery in the Hunter has jumped from 2,261 in 1992 to 3,796 in 1993. That's an increase of more than 1,100 people. Shadow Health Minister Andrew Refshaugi says budget cuts, hospital and ward closures have taken their toll on hospital services. Area Health Boss Dr Tim Smythe has a different interpretation of the increase. He says it's because the Hunter now has more accurate information about exactly who is on the waiting list.
Last year, the figures that we had from surgeons indicated that we were only being given the names of about 50% of the patients. It was well under the numbers that we'd estimated should be on the list, and now we've made the progress of getting all of those names and we've now got a complete list.
Meanwhile, Daisy Irwin continues to wait in pain for her operation. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
Dozens of kites, some giant, brought welcome relief to Newcastle's industrial skyscape. More than 100 competitors, some from the US and New Zealand, have been wowing the crowds with displays of single and dual line flying, as well as team, combat and ballet exhibitions. The skills and scale of what's now considered a serious sport are a far cry from the homemade sticks, rags and fishing line kites many can identify with. However, the simple appreciation of a kite on a wire is universal. Results of the competition remain up in the air.
Dora Creek Bush Fire Brigade. Communications.
I think everybody that's here today deserves a bit of recognition. It's what people do it for, isn't it? I guess that's what you get out of it.
The emergency effort in this region was characterised by the cooperation between services. Special plaques struck for the occasion depicted volunteers and regulars working side by side. The support of family members was also recognised.
The families are home while we're out there fighting fires, and they do worry about us. And they've finally said, well, let's put something on for the families too, you know.
Located on the campus of Newcastle University, the Advanced Technology Centre is home to around 100 scientists, chemists, engineers and technicians. Officially opening the complex, Energy Minister Gary West says the joint initiative between the university and Pacific Power provides a high-tech base for improving technologies with a commercial focus.
So the customers will see benefits as we develop our expertise, move these generation technology process.
The project represents an unusual collaboration between academia and industry.
We see a lot of student relationships occurring, senior students preparing projects under the supervision of Pacific Power scientists and so on.
Well, we can working closely with the university. The university also have a number of people working in the areas that are of interest to us, and by working in close collaboration we can both benefit from one another's experience and knowledge and technical expertise.
As the major generator of energy in New South Wales, Pacific Power is heading towards competition. Backed by the state government, it's also looking at marketing technologies overseas, in particular Asia.
They want to bring on more electricity. We've got that expertise and we can be in that advisory role and make sure that we get some real benefits of export to those.
Not every child is a natural when it comes to sport. For some, just basic coordination is something they have to really work at. The Tennis Australia-sponsored ACE tennis program is designed to try and show primary school-age children just how easy it can be to get eye and hand coordination working. For those who are found to have problems, someone just taking the time to explain how it all works can dramatically change their situation.
Even if they've just got a half an hour of the program, you can see they're a lot more controlled. They're focusing on each skill that they're doing. They're not rowdy by the end of it, even though they're excited.
Professional coaches from around Newcastle were given the chance to sit in on today's classes with the hope they will introduce the system to their beginners and help out schools interested in the program.
It's a fabulous opportunity for them to get out, introduce younger children into the game of tennis, and they're learning in a frustration-free environment. So there's no negativity about it. Everything's much smaller and easier to use.
Just a court away, and the perfect example for young tennis players was training. Australia's #1 Rachel McQuillan putting in some court time before starting the circuit again in April. Tomorrow the ACE classes move to Nelson Bay and Maitland, Singleton on Thursday, and the rest of northern New South Wales in the coming months. Darren Curtis, NBN News.
Actor John Waters and musician Stuart Darietta are the stars of Looking Through a Glass Onion, the title taken from the Beatles' Double White album.
It has an imagery of sort of crystal ball gazing or whatever, you know, looking at something not entirely in its sort of clarity, but through the mists of time, peeling away of layers of an onion, you know, all that kind of imagery.
Since it was first performed at a Sydney pub 2 years ago, the production has toured Australia and London's West End. But the concept goes beyond merely impersonating John Lennon.
I don't dress to look like him or wear little round glasses or anything like that, because I feel that's a kind of tawdry sort of cheap imitation kind of. I want to evoke his presence and in some way the essence of what his personality was like.
We strip the songs back to their bare bones, pick out the particular singularity of the song and what particular motives are happening in that song which give it the John Lennon-esque feeling, and then interpret them in our own way.
Described as a collage of song and words, nearly 30 of Lennon's hits are featured. The selection guaranteed to attract at least one member of the audience on opening night, April 8.
The coroner today heard evidence from Dr Adrian Russell, the man who'd treated 6-year-old Tani Louise Jones the night before she died. He was called to see her at Lingard Hospital after Tani's mother reported seeing Tani having a fit about 2:45 a.m. Dr Russell told the coroner Tani's mother described her sitting up in bed vomiting with her eyes rolled back. Nursing staff had told him they hadn't seen it happen, and he says he wasn't aware that the mother of another child in the ward had seen the fit. After examining the child, Dr Russell told Tani's mother he didn't find any evidence of a convulsion. My thoughts at that time were gastric irritation, and that's why she was vomiting. Soon after Dr Russell left the hospital, Sister Judith Gregory says Tani wet the bed and lost control of her bowels. Dr Russell says he would have liked Sister Gregory to have told him this, because incontinence is a strong sign someone has had a convulsion. Dr Adrian Russell also told the coroner that some of his notes from that night have gone missing from Lingard Hospital. Fortunately, he wrote a report based on those notes before they disappeared. The coroner's inquest will continue tomorrow. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
Old man of the Newmarket Handicap. It's his third attempt to figure in the major placings, but this time he won't have to carry as much weight, and that makes him a real threat to the favourites.
He's had a few goes at this race, but you never know. He's going all right, and he's got a light weight, so he's be ridden by Glenn Boss, who I think will suit the horse. He gets back in his races, and he'll get home and he'll run a good race. Good old horse.
Today's barrier draw certainly fell in the favour of local trainers. Nearly all of their horses were given good positions. The two-day carnival was also given an added boost of prestige, with all of the state's top and flamboyant jockeys nominating for rides.
They chase the big money around the country, and also it's such a great track to ride. If you talk to Dittman and the Dyes and the Cassies, I'll tell you that Newcastle's as good a track as anywhere in the world to ride. It's big open spaces, and as I said, the big prize money, the percentage there, and also the fact that if they want to ride these horses in the bigger races coming up at Easter at Randwick, they've got to ride them here at Newcastle next week.
The Coca-Cola Classic will be run on Tuesday, and early Golden Slipper favourite Polyak, ridden by Kevin Moses, is already at short odds, while the long shot will be Planetary Miss at 50-1. On Wednesday, two horses are equal favourite in the Carlton Newmarket, Flitter to be ridden by Jim Cassidy, and Rich Pageantry with Mick Dittman on board. The roughie at 40-1 is Snowburst from Barrier 10. But trainer Max Lees warns not to put too much faith in the odds.
Last few years, the favourites have been beat here. You know, it was odds on last year, and the last couple of years really they haven't gone too good. So you never know this year neither.
In tomorrow's racing, tipster Gary Harley has thrown his weight behind skating in race 6 at Warwick Farm. At Caulfield, he recommends an each-way bet on number 1 in race 6, and at the Doggies tomorrow in Newcastle, try Miss Ashley in the second. Ray Price wanted to make sure every one of these kids went home knowing they'd had a decent workout. Price concentrated on perfecting their tackling technique and making sure they knew all about discipline.
There's a hairy kid in everyone, isn't there? Kids are easily led, so I thought, well, they just need a little bit extra on the tackling.
Other specialist coaches worked on emphasising the importance of ruck play and the value of keeping play the ball mistake-free. But it wasn't all hard work. Price gave up plenty of time just to talk to the youngsters and sign autographs.
It sort of makes me feel good to still be remembered, so anything I can help then in, it gives me satisfaction too.
At Western, as the temperature soared even higher, soccer players were working up a sweat just running onto the field for the second round of the pre-season cup. Second Division side Budgewoi in the green and yellow were handing out a good hiding to First Division side Maitland when Duncan Richards chased up a rebound to beat goalie Kane Norris in the last minute to save Maitland from humiliation.
Joggers and sun hats were the dress code. An early rush on the gate saw nearly 8,000 seniors show bags handed out. Inside, a map of the ground and a list of discounts. Younger showgoers found the going tough around the giveaway and sample displays. It was pretty hard to get the samples, was it?
Yep.
Why is that?
Because all the ladies were eating it.
We've enjoyed this. We've had a cup of coffee, a biscuit free. Everywhere we go, they're going to offer something cheap. Now, let's go on that.
Are you going for the rides this afternoon?
We're going to try and do everything we can.
But I think Newcastle show's getting better every year. I really do. And having a senior sits day, well, that's an advantage. Really good.
Good on you.
We were here before the gates opened.
You're heading round to the rides?
Well, after lunch, maybe.
Showbag shopping is serious business too.
Well, so far we've looked at the Kit Kat and the Cadbury.
The show is proving popular for the young and the young at heart. Sideshow Alley has its attractions. This gent was right on target. And here's another winner. Some found their way to the rides. What ride are you looking for?
Oh, rather a dangerous one. The one I like's up in Queensland, a double loop.
It's the show holiday tomorrow. Tonight there'll be a pageant of sporting greats from 7 o'clock.
The 22-year-old rising star recalled how easily the injury happened whilst playing Cronulla in a trial match on Saturday.
It's really quite simple. I just sort of stepped off my right foot and sort of slipped on the grass a bit and got tackled at the same time, and my knee sort of got bent at an unnatural angle, and I just felt a mushy sensation in my knee, and I thought straight away something's wrong here.
Rodwell's worst fears were confirmed after surgeons examined his right knee in Sydney yesterday.
Had an arthroscope last night just to determine the extent of it, and it was found out that I've damaged the cruciate ligaments in a pretty bad way, and it'll probably require, or will require, a knee reconstruction of some sort, probably in the next fortnight or so.
More than 6 months of gruelling rehabilitation will follow the reconstruction, leaving the halfback spot up for grabs.
It's no secret that Andrew Johns will start against South Sydney, and I'm sure he'll be looking forward to that opportunity, and like most young players that come from Newcastle, he'll probably thrive on it.
Rodwell is still holding high hopes of making an early comeback even before this season finishes.
I'll probably pushing to get back on the field in August, probably get a game or two under my belt, and then the season will end.
Or maybe he'll kick the winning field goal in the grand final for us.
The Marching Koala's got the crowd in the mood with its trademark big brassy sound. The show holiday had thousands in the grandstand for the official opening, but it was the parade that they were waiting for. Although the show is all about fun, it also had its serious side today. The people of the Hunt are given the chance to thank their firefighting heroes in the aftermath of the January blazes. The bushfire and regular brigades entered the arena to the applause of the crowd. But the rolling tribute ground to a halt after one tanker decided to go through rather than under an overhanging wire. But the parade was quickly back on track, other emergency crews not far behind, just as they were during January's disaster. Community floats added to the theme of people who serve, although there was no prize for guessing the children's favourite. Last night it was the region's sporting heroes who were honoured to celebrate Australia winning the year 2000 Olympics. Past champions, modern stars and athletes of the future paraded in front of the crowd as part of a rolling cavalcade of sporting elite, with the little athletic members just about the right age to be at their peak for the year 2000 Games. Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
Canadian Jimmy Clooney was leading the Mitsubishi Cup until the final jumper, Scott Ellis, had his turn. The Canadian thought he had all but won the $4,000 event. But the young American had other ideas despite the unpredictable winds and rough water. In the women's event, Emma Shears from Victoria won with a jump over 35 metres long.
It's a disease that kills around 1,000 Australians every year. In the Hunter, 300 new cases are reported. As a nation of sun worshippers, there's a price. Melanoma, with its lengthy incubation period, is the second most common cancer in women, the third in men.
Most of the damage seems to be done in childhood. So we think most melanomas start off in the first 15 years of life, and it seems very related to the number of severe sunburns that you have.
To make people more aware of the dangers, this week the Hunter Melanoma Foundation is spreading a message. If you see a mole, freckle or lesion, see a doctor.
More than 80% of people diagnosed with a melanoma will be cured. It's one of the most curable of all cancers if it's detected early.
A huge family day has been planned for Newcastle's foreshore on Sunday, where free skin checks will be available.
Houses, feral animals and the misuse of land have all taken a bite out of wetland areas. Swampy places such as this few hectares at Tanambit near Maitland offer refuge to native animal species. It's also the touchdown place for migratory birds from around the world.
The site has a number of advantages. It's close to a couple of schools in the area, so therefore provides an opportunity for a field study site, and it's presently owned by the Crown, so it's available and ready to develop.
The area is now up for rehabilitation with walking trails and bird island sanctuaries.
In the longer term, we're hopeful that we can establish an arboretum on the site, a mini botanic gardens, picnic areas, car parking, those sort of facilities.
Students from local schools will be involved in the regeneration of the area.
And they'll be able to come and help plant the trees, watch the nature and wildlife.
One frog that we're particularly interested in this area is the green and golden bell frog, a species which is endangered, has previously been recorded many times in the Hunter Valley, but now hasn't been seen around for many years, and we're concerned that we're losing habitat for it, and this will provide a future habitat resource for it.
"22-year-old Billie Jean Kirk today pleaded not guilty to 11 charges, including manslaughter and being an accessory to the murder of Dominic Manson. Manson was killed in March 1991. He was thrown overboard from a boat in Lake Macquarie after being tortured to reveal PIN numbers of bank accounts. Andrew Malone was later convicted of Manson's murder. Today the court was told Kirk befriended Dominic Manson in November 1990. 2 months later, she moved into a Merryweather unit with Andrew Malone. It was also told Malone had hired a cruiser from Lake Macquarie Yacht Club on March 20th, 1991. In opening for the Crown, prosecutor Caroline Davenport said the case on the charge of manslaughter was not that she killed Manson, but that she lured him onto the boat knowing Malone was going to rob him. Adding Kirk knew she was exposing Manson to appreciable risk of serious injury. Kirk also faces 9 charges of stealing more than $3,000 through withdrawals from Manson's bank accounts in the weeks following his death. Billie Jean's father, Darryl, was among several witnesses to take the stand today. He was asked about Andrew Malone's character and how Malone would get jealous when he saw Billie Jean with other men. In replying to this, Darryl Kirk broke down, explaining there'd been an occasion when Billie Jean had ducked out to go to the beach and had failed to leave a message telling Malone where she'd gone. Malone turned up to the beach and broke the aerial off Billie Jean's car. Mr Kirk also added Malone had kicked Billie Jean, leaving a mark that stayed for ages. The Crown will call more than 30 witnesses, including Detective Sergeant Lance Chaffee. The case continues tomorrow. Catherine Lamond, NBN News. "22-year-old Billie Jean Kirk was standing trial in Newcastle Supreme Court on 11 charges, including manslaughter and being an accessory to the murder of Dominic Manson at Lake Macquarie on March 20th, 1991. While on a boat on Lake Macquarie, Manson had been tortured, bashed and thrown overboard by Andrew Malone, a friend of Kirk's. Malone was later convicted of Manson's murder, and in November 92, Kirk was found guilty of manslaughter. Last year, an appeal by Billie Jean against the conviction was upheld and a retrial ordered. That retrial began in Newcastle Supreme Court yesterday. However, a subsequent erroneous ABC Radio News report referring to Billie Jean's previous trial was taken to task by Kirk's counsel, who felt the incorrect report may lead to a miscarriage of justice. Justice Finlay ruled it is better for the jury to be discharged now. Failure to do so is a risk of there being a prejudice subconsciously in the minds of all 12 jurors. In relation to the mistaken radio report, Justice Finlay added there is no suggestion whatsoever that the reporter was not completely bona fide in the material presented to the public. An application for the retrial to be held at a venue other than Newcastle was granted. That matter will be considered by the criminal call-over in Sydney in coming weeks. An emotional Billie Jean Kirk refused to speak to the media today, however, through her counsel, expressed her disappointment that the matter was not proceeding, adding it's been a very big strain on herself and family. Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
The Hunter River Valley's 22,000 square kilometres is slowly being choked by salinity, frustrating crop growth and reducing the ways water can be exploited. The main cause of the problem is nature.
The geology of the valley, the mixture of marine sediments in amongst the coal seams.
But industry, irrigators and a growing population have added to the problem. They cause up to 1/4 of salinity, which means as the region grows, the amount of usable water shrinks. Irrigators draw water from rivers, which raises the water level of the surrounding land and in turn diverts highly saline groundwater to the river. Coal mines release their excess water into the river, flooding it with salinity. The EPA invited these major salinity producers to a meeting in Singleton today to try and find a solution to the problem. The EPA has suggested incentives to encourage change rather than force it through fines. Each enterprise would be given a credit of acceptable salinity, discharge levels for coal companies and water intake for irrigators. If they stay under their quota, they can sell their credit. If they are over, they have to buy it from another enterprise.
If we can do something like that, and we don't know that we can, but if we can, it represents a positive reinforcement for good environmental practice and a good bit of discouragement for poor environmental practice.
The EPA is expected to release its final report on salinity in 6 months. Richard O'Leary, NBN News.